I'm watching the stream, and it shows that it's still waiting for you to go live.
Yeah, same.
God damn it.
I don't know if that is a YouTube thing, or if that is just...
It says now that you're live.
It's working. It's now live.
Okay, so can you actually see what I'm doing? Like, you see my screen?
You can totally see everything now.
Cool,
yeah. Granted, of course the stream decided to go live after the introductions, but it is actually live now.
Okay, so can anyone in the chat actually confirm you heard any of those introductions? So that I'm not doing them again. I think I'm just gonna.
No, I didn't hear it.
Nah, crap. Whatever. Well, I'm just gonna run through them. We have the voice of Balfear and Matt. The voice of Balfear, Squall, and the Final Fantasy XIV writing team. And that's JS Wayward, Crafty Pat, Flutter Dark, Caldus, and Doobie Mouse. Okay, let's begin.
Technical issues.
I hate modern technology.
Wouldn't be YouTube without issues.
To be fair, YouTube without issues would not be YouTube. Things happen.
Hello, Lengle Boy. Hello, Caleb. Hello, William. Hello to our mod, Ben Howell. And hello, Gravy, not name. Okay, today's gender: Alcid, Dollfuss, Redus, and Gareth. Because I've done this introduction 3 times now. I'm not doing it properly anymore.
It's fine. They've probably been here before.
Yeah. So I won't talk through how I make these models in this one because I've done 4 of these for this particular project now. So I'll just let my guests ask questions or get the general banter going.
Yeah. So we were talking about FF14 earlier before the stream started. And to get back on another thing about 14 that is really great is that it gives a lot of ways for you to level your classes, and most of them are viable. It more depends on the speed you want to do things. Like the biggest way many people use to level anything that isn't their first class is to run daily roulettes that give a huge EXP bonus. Just, oh, let me run a dungeon, and you get thrown into a random dungeon, but you get a huge EXP bonus for finishing it. This bonus being a daily thing, not a every time thing, otherwise it would be busted.
So I run the main story quest one quite a lot recently because leveling up class, and it locks you in. If you're unlucky, it locks you into an hour at most, which is not cool.
Yeah, the main story quest one has actually quite a thing attached to it, because nobody in their right mind would run these dungeons if the roulette would not exist. And it's story required, so they had to make a way for people to run these dungeons so this roulette exists. And because you can't skip cutscenes in it anymore, because otherwise, well, by the time people watch the first cutscene, the third boss would be dead.
Yeah, there was often quite a lot of people having characters randomly dying, like having the boss dying as the boss is giving their monologue during the cutscene. I mean, that sounds funny, but it's actually quite frustrating for new players.
Oh yeah, new players would not get any of the battles if cutscenes were skippable, and that's why they put it in a separate roulette. No other roulette can access these 2 dungeons, and the cutscenes are not skippable anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember my first
that is a big. To be completely fair, that's a big story-heavy dungeon. Like, there's no getting around that. You need to watch that at one point or another.
Of course you need to.
And for first-time players, it's kind of important that they watch it. But for everyone else running the dungeon, they're like, God, come on! Watch your stupid cutscene already! I want to get started!
A lot of people just open like YouTube in the background, check the Discord messages, or maybe even play some Mario Maker levels while they wait for the cutscenes to end. Because anyone that enters it after they played the story is there because of the insane EXP and the 500 elegant tomestones that the roulette gives, which can be used to buy any endgame equivalent gear of old expansions. Like, the game has different kinds of tomestones, which are basically just exchange currency. And the most general one is Poetics, which can be used for any old expansion gear that was earlier sold with other tomestones. Which is a great way to help people catch up in gear, so that they are ready for whatever the next part of their leveling is.
Well, not only just for that, but it's also good for getting your other jobs to have some decent gear once you're just power leveling them to get through.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
The main shop usually has no problem, but even they benefit heavily from buying that gear once you get access to it. Because it makes the next levels an easier ride. Because you run around with the equivalent of endgame gear of the previous expansion, which can carry you very easily at least 5 levels into the next one.
Until you have to throw it out. Because it's useless. Or it's only good for glim glam, you're jim jamming.
Honestly, I did not have to throw out such gear, but in Shadowbringers I might have to because it's current content. But when I did Stormblood leveling, I did not have to throw out that gear one bit, and then replaced it once I hit 70.
I sadly sold everything in game for fractions of $1 of what it's worth.
I do that all the time. I don't have time to sort of learn how the market works, you know.
Since I mostly level with that tombstone gear, I just keep it in my armory chest to have other classes benefit from me already having it. So when my mechanist hit 60, all I needed to do was buy his weapon, and I had the character ready to level from 60 to 70.
So when I hopped into this voice chat room, I heard you were talking about Final Fantasy XI. I heard that you were sort of familiar with it, JS Wayward, or what should I call you? That'll be awkward saying that every time.
No, it's man. You can just go by Josh.
Oh, okay, I'll call you Josh.
Yeah, man. When Final Fantasy XI came out, I actually played for a little while, probably about 6 months.
Oh, cool. How did you find it?
Frustrating, because it was really slow and it wasn't as fast-paced as other games that we are familiar with.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I actually never played it myself, which is partly why the nutshell we did for it was the way it was. And I don't know if you're aware, but it actually annoyed quite a lot of people. I stand by my decision.
What's really funny is actually, like, after sometime after Final Fantasy XI released, World of Warcraft came out and started playing that and sucked everybody. Alright, since I don't have a lot of experience playing 14, and that seems to be the conversation, how would you guys like to hear some jokes from good old Bafir?
Go ahead.
That sounds great.
Let's hear it.
Keep in mind these are pretty much dad jokes, if you're okay with that.
I love dad jokes.
Whatever.
Sounds like gold.
Why did the paladin open up a vineyard?
I don't know. Why did the paladin open a vineyard?
So that everyone could see the spirits within.
You know,
That's
now
cool, I
you
like
reminded me of that weird Final Fantasy movie, The Spirits Within, that somehow exists.
I assume that was the joke about that movie.
That's the joke.
Alright, here's another one. Why are black mages bad team players?
Why?
Because after 30 seconds they foul everything.
That is great. They're also great at spreading despair now. No, really, that's the move they got on Shadowbringers. It's great.
So I was feeling under the weather the other day, so I went to make a doctor's appointment, and the nurse said to me, "The doctor will see you as soon as he can." Eh? As sooner? Like the healing spell?
Boo!
Yeah, that was from one in a nutshell. Not totally original.
Speaking of which, what is a blue mage's favorite dish?
What is a blue mage's favorite dish?
Cordon bleu.
That's
Ooh.
actually good.
That's actually a good.
Here's an easy one. What's a healer's favorite type of shoe?
What is
High
a healer's
heels?
favorite?
Heels, of course.
Yeah, I heard it.
Hey, yo.
Heyo.
So I divorced my spouse because she was being really difficult. You might even call her an ex-wife.
Not sure I get that one.
I don't either. Most of these are really stupid.
It can't be any worse than what you've already told.
Oh, you think so? Hold on, I got one more for you. What do you call a dead red mage?
What?
Well,
Black man.
a corpse, of course.
Ah. God damn it, Palace of the Dead. Stop with the explosion traps.
So, question for the people in the audience. What was your favorite Final Fantasy in a nutshell video so far?
Oh, yes, this will be interesting.
Ooh, good question.
Let's hear it. Sound off.
Cogs are whirring.
Like, even though I voiced in Final Fantasy yet, I gotta say, hands down, 9 and 4 were my personal favorites.
Oh, 9 was great.
Yes, I enjoyed making that one.
I was really partial to 4. It's the first one I watched, and really nailed it for me.
That's my favorite one too.
I remember it was before the Outcast videos came out. The whole time I was like, "Where the hell is Edge? What is this?"
Yeah, that was kind of like that whole Outcast thing spiraled from people constantly asking where Edge was. It never wasn't sort of, you know, planned out from the start.
Honestly, I kind of sort of thought that Kimari would be one of them because he's so useless in combat, but in story is more useful. So it makes sense. But the FF10 literally hates Kimari. Even the developers kind of sort of hate Kimari. Because there's
I'll
that
tell
one.
you what my favorite part is. It's definitely Balthier. Like, I saw a bit of the trailer, and it is funny.
Well, there you have it.
Who's that who's jumped in? I don't recognise that voice.
That
I can't see Discord
Happy
right now.
Striker called us.
It's unbiased, unsolicited opinion.
Oh, yeah, totally unbiased. Yeah, definitely.
Ben Hell says Steiner pulling a buffalo brought me to tears. That was.
No, that's my favourite joke. I don't often do, like, you know, hand-drawn well, this is hand-drawn animation, but what's the best way to describe, you know, detailed animation with, you know, proper movements.
Do you mean frame by frame?
Yeah, I don't often do that, but for that joke, I thought I had to do that because it will emphasise the sort of humour of it so much more.
You weren't able to do any tweening for it?
No, it didn't take a lot of tweening. I did most of it in Flash.
see. Lots of people are saying 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10.
Good choices.
Oh, come on, Kenster Tube. You have to have loved 9. That was priceless.
It is Raptoon lore to like 9.
If you don't like 9, you're banned from the channel.
No questions asked.
And you were forced to donate to Patreon. There's a special tier just for you.
You shouldn't have to be forced to donate to my Patreon.
I know. I'm just joshing.
I get it.
Oh, touche.
Okay, so I'm nearly finished with this character. A sort of brief background on this character. His name's Al Cid. He's one of 2 Cids in Final Fantasy XII. I would say he's the worst of the 2 Cids, mainly because he's very forgettable. I think the most memorable thing about him is his really sort of badly exaggerated accent. Haven't actually casted him yet. He only has 1 line, so I might do it myself. I might find someone else, but basically his accent is like really ridiculous. It's like, "Hello, I am Alcid. Listen to my ridiculous accent."
Oh my god, I just had food for dinner. It was great.
Yeah.
Am I that forgettable? I don't know. I didn't play 12.
Show of hands here. Who actually finished 12? I think
did.
that's the real test of your love for Final Fantasy.
I
By
did.
finished, do you mean story or side quest?
Story. Who actually saw the credits at the end.
I did.
I swear I've started that game like 6 times now and I still haven't beaten it once.
Honestly, I started it once, but then stopped it because... first I stopped it because my PC was horrible as shit and couldn't even run the thing. I had lags and Rabanastra. And then I just never felt like going back to the game.
That is fairly fair.
Though I do like the gambit system as an idea from what I have seen. Because AI that does stupid things is one of the few things I hate in most other games that has AI controlled party members.
See, 12 is a really good game. The problem is it's overtly padded out. And it takes so long just to get somewhere. Especially at the start of the game too, when you're building up your skills and building up your gambits. And I mean, the gambits is actually a really nice change.
Chasing rats.
God, like the gambits were really nice to start, but it kind of felt like once you actually had a good gambit system going, you could cookie cutter throughout the entire game and never have to push a button.
Yeah,
Basically, that's actually how I just imagined with what I saw in the gambit system, how you can make the entire game. Like, the thing is, even there are AFK level setups in this game that just exist.
Yeah, Final Fantasy XII, the game that plays itself.
Pretty much.
You know, the funny thing is that people, that is the joke people make about 13 because its auto battle function is so good. And
I think the auto battle function actually destroyed 13.
Yeah, I have to agree on that because auto battle would just pick what I would pick anyway, so why would I go into the menu and find the skill myself if I could just press the auto button?
See, my problem with the auto battle in 13 was it removed the entire purpose of having the menu system in battle. Because you could just do auto battle for the whole game and you'll be just fine.
That's what I did. I think the only boss where I didn't was that stupid little blip in chapter 10 with the 4 faces. Because, well, I kinda had to do shit there myself because it kept killing me. And whoever decided that party leader death equals game over probably got fired after 13.1 because of 13.2 that thing is gone.
Yes, that was definitely one of the things they fixed in 13.2. I was very grateful for.
Oh, I was very happy for that too because it really sucks when the game says, oh lol, your party leader is dead, game over. And it is like Persona where that makes a bit more sense because your party leader there is a lot more special. No. No. It just... No. Also, my biggest problem with 13.1 is that it takes you about half to 3/4 of the game till you can set the party the way you want. Which is good for story reasons. It's really bad for gameplay though.
What was I gonna say? I've forgotten. Oh yeah, I finished.
Don't worry, it'll come back to you.
Okay, so that's
Then
Model 1 finished. Al Cid.
I like his shades.
Me too. So we will save. Oh no. It's okay, but very often I will save over the template, which is why I always keep a backup.
I always have backups of my templates when I do things in Word too. Oh. Ooh, silver chest.
Okay, we will soon see if I did that. Raz, what do you think of Funko Pops? I think they're cool. I mean, I like them, but I don't collect them, mainly because it would drain a hole in my bank balance doing so. They are so expensive.
I don't collect them either, and that's also partially because I haven't seen any of characters where I actually want figures.
How much
Then
does
again-
Pops cost?
About £30 a pop. So I would say that's in
Yeah,
US
big
money.
Yes.
12 American dollars. That's crazy.
Honestly, you say it's crazy, but I think it's rather... What are these people doing? God damn it. But I think it's rather to be expected because it's still collectible figures. Of course there's a decent price tag on that.
Okay, so next we're making Dollfuss. This is the other Cid of Final Fantasy XII, and he is a villainous Cid. A first for the Final Fantasy series.
I think the only other villainous Cid that I know of is in 13.1.
More of an anti-hero, I would say, in 13.1.
True, he fits that better. And it's like the only other antagonistic Cid I know of. Because 14's is a good guy, and 15's, well, I think that he just shows up at the beginning. And as a grandfather, everybody wants to flip.
He is also the
6.
father of Balfir, so I think I will use his face as a baseline for this.
I was
So
gonna say
that's where he
6
got
for
his good
best
looks
Cid.
from. Ooh, yeah.
What are you saying,
Cid.
Doobie?
Or is it the father who got the good looks from the son?
Say what?
I think the Kermit Cid in Final Fantasy IX was the best one.
Oh.
Is this lazy? Yes.
By far, that was probably one of my most favorite roles for any voice acting job I've ever.
Yes, you knocked out the part of that Kermit impression.
Why?
Oh no, they're all dead.
Yeah, perfectly encapsulates that entire
whoops.
scene right there.
Nicely done.
It's the Tesla show, yay!
Goodbye, person.
Someone has dropped off.
Benjamin Nelson. Hello. Let's see. Morgana says, Raz, thoughts on any of the FF mobile games like Record Keeper and Opera Omni?
Lately I haven't had a lot of time to play those. So I enjoyed Record Keeper. I thoroughly enjoyed the Opera Omnia one. Yeah, that's the one. And I quite enjoyed Mobius, but I just don't have time to play them anymore. But they are solid games. I would say Record Keeper was my favourite. For the nostalgia.
That's fair to say. Out of all the mobile games from Final Fantasy, I think I still play Mobius because it's the most casual, free-to-play, player-friendly, and it comes out with some decent content every now and then. Speaking of which, totally not shelling my FF8 in a nutshell video, but there is a FF8 crossover event going on in Mobius right now.
Ooh.
Get on there and hear the terrible Squall voice. Comparison to mine.
Is it the original Squall voice?
His voice is alright.
The original Squall? You mean from like Dissidia and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's the same guy from Dissidia.
In Kingdom Hearts. Honestly, I've always loved his voice. It always just fit. It just fit the character.
I thought Squall's outfit in Kingdom Hearts 1 was actually pretty boss.
Oh yeah, that outfit is great.
Too bad he got retconned to hell and back in Kingdom Hearts 3. Same with every other Final Fantasy character that was in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh god, I'm still mad about that.
He wasn't even in Kingdom Hearts 3, was he?
That's the thing! That's
only Final
exactly
Fantasy-
the point.
Technically,
only
there were
Final
no
Fantasy-
Final Fantasy characters that were in Kingdom Hearts 3 were the Moogles.
Yeah,
Which,
the Moogles were
personally,
the
I'm
only
okay
exception.
Personally, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, well, and to mention at the beginning of Hercules' World about Orin and Zack, but those were the only. Oh, I mean Cloud.
Yeah, that was in Birth by Sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mentioned
yeah.
it because it was Hades' past plans, but they don't show up.
But honestly, it was probably the best decision that Nomura actually made, deciding to go with just his original characters and Disney characters. Because, I mean, honestly, he's been moving away from the Final Fantasy name for a little while now. Which is fine, honestly. Like, the Final Fantasy characters serve their purpose.
Yeah.
Cameos. And
Yeah,
that was
get
pretty
people
much
hooked in the
whole
series.
point.
And also, to be quite honest, I would have no place where I could place them in 3 without them just looking like tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since
Radiant
they don't
Garden
really
is
do very
literally
much
just the cutscene place.
Yeah.
See,
Which
if
really
Kingdom
sucks.
Hearts
love
3 didn't come off as a giant Disney infomercial advertisement, it would have been a really good game.
That's a whole
Honestly,
other
I
can
have
of
another.
worms.
Honestly, I have a way bigger problem with the words in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. I wish they did not put Frozen in, because literally it was just the
That is
entirety
one
of
of
Let
the
It Go.
problems, but
but the problem with Frozen was the fact that Disney changed the story so many times that he couldn't even do anything. That Nomura couldn't even do anything about it. Like literally, they changed the entire story because of when they changed Elsa's allegiance in the movie from evil to good. They had to change Kingdom Hearts 3 to fit that as well. So finally they just said, fuck it. We're just gonna instead just put in the little story bits that are the most iconic, and that's kind of it.
yeah, my personal problem with all the Disney words specifically, not the Pixar words, the Disney words, is that Sora gets removed from a lot of their plot through one way or another, which in some cases is a good thing, in most cases though feels kinda weird when you have cutscenes that are literally just the movie, which Sora is seeing, but at the same time it's like, it was a bit much, and I honestly hate all 3 of the actual Disney words because of that reason. With Frozen being the worst example of that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because we literally get kicked down the mountain like 3 times.
Also, the villain,
So-
the main crux of the issue in Frozen, didn't have any lines whatsoever.
Oh yeah, that too! He has no
That's-
lines, and someone
That's
does not know
that's
shit!
because he wasn't the original villain. Elsa was the original villain for it, and so when when the entire team was like, hey, when the Disney team went, hey, so yeah, we changed the movie, so now all those lines, we're gonna have to change those, and they're like, but we don't have time to do this, and they're like, well,
Tough.
sucks to be you.
He's
So
like, tough shit, we gave you $20 billion, now fix it.
Yeah, pretty much. So at that point, they literally just made whatever his name is a cameo, and that was pretty much it. Like originally, his boss wasn't even supposed to be the ultimate boss. It was supposed to be Elsa creating that giant snow wolf.
Honestly, that would have been a lot more epic. Though that Snow Wolf, to be fair, is one of the bosses with the biggest spectacle, be it just for its... Yo, I have the biggest Dark Boy of Darkness and Destruction you have ever seen! That.
So I keep seeing Zidane pop up in the chat there. Bianca Armstrong says she's in love with him forever? Really? It's got to be the tail, isn't it?
Zidane is quite a fan favorite, it seems.
He's always been quite a bit of a fan favorite, even in the games as well. Because he's one of the rare examples of a character that's done incredibly well. Like, you know, he's always so happy-go-lucky, you know, always trying to charm the girls but never succeeds.
I always thought it was kind of like a step backwards, you know, in terms of like animation and everything, because you went from 7, which was kind of starting to get, you know, was making technological advancement, and then you went into 8, which was becoming more realistic, and then all of a sudden 9, which was kind of cartoony.
Yeah,
9 was very cartoony because it was more of a throwback to classic Final Fantasy. Like, you know, we were getting a little too steampunky.
Right, and then we went right into 10, which was again ultra realistic at the time.
Final Fantasy has had quite an evolution.
It makes you wonder what plans they have for 16. If they want to continue the aggressively realistic look, or go back again.
I'm honestly worried. I don't know if there will ever be a 16.
There's gonna be a 16. Final Fantasy's too big. Plus they have 14.
Worried, man.
Plus they also have 14 to worry about. They have 14 to build off of as well, at least financially.
Yeah. 14 will be the big cash cow.
And they're making expansions for the for 15, aren't they?
No, 15 is pretty much done now.
15 is officially dead according to Nomura.
Yeah. The team was actually going to be supporting 15 for a while.
The director just left.
But then they got axed.
Yep.
Well, the first thing Square's worrying about is the FF7 remake, which honestly, it looks pretty awesome, but gameplay and trailers are two different kind of things.
Well, they also had to change it because of everything that was going on with Square. So honestly, for me, Nomura gets a pass. Nomura and the whole entire team gets a pass with that. At least.
While there won't be sequel, they're claiming that there are expansions coming out.
No, they're not. Well, not true expansions. Not with the director officially like leaving the whole entire project.
Oh, I think what you mean.
Away.
I think what you mean is they're bringing out a book that basically explains what was going to happen in all the planned expansions they were going to do.
Yeah, that's like nothing, because more than likely that's only going to come out in Japan with maybe a couple of fan-related translations, maybe.
Probably.
Because that's what happens with Final Fantasy. If they create a book, it's only ever accessible in Japan. Like the novelized versions of I believe it's the first 3 games, or maybe it might just be the first 2. They have novels, like actual like total novels, but at the same time, you know, it's just But hey, you know, I mean, Square knows what it's doing, at least. They at least
one sequel for 9 and an anime. Well, it'd be nice if it did get an abridged anime, but
God,
I don't know.
I'm so ready for the 14 TV show. I'm so ready for that.
I think we're gonna have to wait and see how 7 remake does, because I think if 7 remake's gonna succeed, we're gonna see 8 remake or more likely 9 remake. But although I think they shouldn't touch 9. 9 is perfect the way it is.
You know, I'm probably an odd one out here, but honestly, the one that I want them to remake
crossover event for 14, so I can get my Dragoon Glamour, and then I'll be happy.
Oh, for Fran or crap, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Ah,
Fran.
Fran, right? I knew it.
It's not Fran.
What?
It's not Fran.
I thought it was Fran.
No, Fran is the Viera from
already got their Fran bun outfits.
Right. It's what's her name?
It also Freya,
right?
Freya. It's Freya.
I knew it was I knew it was an FRA. I knew it was, or well, this one's an E, right?
Yeah.
It's FREYA, named after like Freya of the Merlin mythology. I don't remember. I never really played enough of 9 to really even remember it that much.
Sacrilege.
That was more of my ex's thing, was 9. Your favorite game was 9, and that was like just the thing, and I was like, Like, it wasn't a bad game for me, it was just not as like memorable as like 5. Now 5 is a one that I want them to do a remake of.
Oh god, I never played 5, but I heard a lot of good things about it, including that it is basically where the shop system actually became good.
Honestly, I really actually enjoy I enjoy any game that has a good job system. Like Bravely Default, I'm behind. I am good on that one.
Bravely
Final
Default
Fantasy V. Bravely Default was the 3DS game that was kind of a spin-off of the.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I played it.
Sequel. I don't think that they made the 3rd one. I think they made a mobile game, but it was only ever accessible in Japan again, so I don't remember too much about it.
Okay, this dude's coat is like, I don't even know, so I'm gonna simplify it really, really to the extreme.
What I would like to release on a modern platform in any way, shape or form is Tactics. The original Tactics.
I mean, they have it on mobile, so...
They have Tactics on mobile?
Yeah, they have it on the Apple Store, and they have... I believe they have it on Android as well.
Honestly, I should check if
it's eyes lighting up from here, Fluttered.
Yeah, because it's one of those games I hear a lot about, but never actually played it because I did not have it for the PS1.
Yeah, it's available on. It's available through the PSN on PS1 if you. Or no, I mean it's on. You can play it on PS3. I don't believe you can play it on PS4.
That is one thing I don't get. If you have these things digitally anyways, why is it not just also on the PS4 like made?
The only one that they have made accessible through the PS4 as well is actually just 7. Because 7 is such an amazing, almighty game.
Seriously, people, give us the others too. If you can do one PS1 game, you can do all 4 of them.
Final Fantasy IX is available on PS4, PSN.
So
and 8 is going to be coming soon too.
Yeah, that's true, because with the remake, or the remastered edition.
Well, it's not really a remaster, just really updated models. But still, like, it was kind of nice the way it was.
Because honestly, I would very much like for them to actually update 8. 8 is one of those beautiful. It's just a really beautiful game.
Yeah, and you can beautifully break it in about 5 minutes.
Isn't that part of the fun?
Memes alone about being
Squall,
the most
you're the
handsome guy
best
in the room.
looking guy here.
Yeah, it is very. I don't know. I don't want to say unique because it's kind of the template for 15, but at the time it was very strikingly unique. I really like the designs of like the seeds. I really like the designs of the city where you go and where you first meet Ultimecia.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Delling City or whatever it was. Was it Delling?
Dilly dally shilly shally.
I think it was Delling, yeah. The city that everyone got lost in their first time going through.
I never had such a thing in Final Fantasy of getting lost, and I had it in Pokemon X and Y. Because a lot of people got lost in Illumi City.
Let's see. The only Final Fantasy game I think I want a remake of, like an actual remake, is 13.
Oh, you mean make it actually good?
Make it a good game.
Honestly, the biggest
Sorry,
one
Rabs.
of the biggest problems
It's okay.
that 13 had, in my opinion, is the fact that a lot of its story is not in cutscenes, but in a log file.
But you should read.
Yeah, the problem is just, seriously, if you can't put your story in cutscenes, half the time you don't even know what you're doing. Heck, I don't remember anything about what the bad guy actually wanted to do.
He wanted to bring about the destruction of Eden, so that the gods would come back to the world.
I mean in 13, not in 8.
Oh, 8.
I mean 13.
Wait, what?
You talked about Eden. Eden was an 8 thing. 13 doesn't have Eden.
Yes, it does.
Right?
There's a place called Eden in Cocoon.
It's
It's where they have that big huge fight where they bring out all their summons onto the racetrack.
Which is an awesome cutscene, by the way.
That. I forgot that was a town name.
Yeah, which of course was based off of 8's Eden, which now they've put into 14, which I am honestly all for, really.
Oh, I'm stoked when I get there.
I haven't got there yet.
So I like what they're doing so far, and you can you can definitely tell that Nomura worked on it as well.
Oh, I also can't wait till the Lions raids come out. And my friend then probably wants to kill me. Like, one of my friends...
What game do you think they're gonna... If you're gonna take bets, what game are they gonna go for in this Alliance draft?
I would like to see Final Fantasy 5 get some love.
Oh god, 5 would be great.
Well, 5 already... we're still talking about 14, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, still talk about 14.
Okay, so 5 already technically got its love with the Omega Raid, with 01 through 04.
Oh, right,
Even putting X-Death in it. Yeah, they put in the X-Death fight.
Yeah, X-Death was great.
As well as all the other 5 stuff. And then they gave 6 some more love, which, honestly, 6 has...
happened.
You can tell that the people who created 14...
I died when you fought Gross Train. I died.
Oh, Phantom Train was so fun and so annoying because Black Mage and this fight did not mix well at all.
I think that the 14 creators definitely have a favorite Final Fantasy, considering all of the love that they have given to 6 and pretty much shown for very few of the others. Like, in A Realm Reborn, we had the whole entire Magitech Empire. You have the Phantom Train that they talk about that connects all the Castrums, and then Heavensward, you bring in the Warring Triad. And then with Stormblood, then they do the Omega Raids, and you're just like, good grief.
Yeah, it's gotten a bit excessive.
Yeah.
So, Rabs, Nate Gaming Channel asks you, what do you think of Final Fantasy X?
10, I would say, is up there on my top 10 list of best Final Fantasies. I would say it's near the top. Probably
You mean
third.
top as in it's ranked 10?
Wow.
10 is a really good game.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, people complain about 13 being just hallways when most of 10 is hallways, but 10s actually look good.
Debatable.
13 looks better. Just the problem was that in the day and age that we are in now, we don't have all the limitations that 10 had. So for them to have a long hallway game was, normal especially for that system. But Final Fantasy 13 was considered the next generation. So automatically people just thought, oh yeah, it shouldn't just be one long hallway, which, I mean, it works for what it was.
I think the other reason why it was so noticeable in 10 and 13 is because many of the areas were also indoors, and then you notice it more.
Honestly, I was actually completely fine with 13.
Oh, I was fine with it while playing too.
It didn't make for a good Final Fantasy game, but if it had been a different game under a different name, it would have been a great game.
Yeah, there are some games that just work better when not tied to a franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
See, 13 was actually kind of fine. The problem I had with it was, for a Final Fantasy game, it was incredibly boring. It took forever for us to, to get that little click in our head that's the Fal'Cie or the l'Cie. Some story elements weren't really fleshed out until like 30 hours in. You're like, oh, that's what it meant, or that's what happened. It took too long to get there. Like, it had money put into this game's production. You could tell with all the cutscenes they put in there. Money, money, money. And, oh god, like, it really felt like this game was holding your hand from start to finish. Like, the auto battle was the worst offender for it.
Yeah. And let me also add the fact of... oh god, I don't even want to talk about the weapon upgrading system because...
That's where most of the time consumption really comes into the game.
I will be honest, when I bothered with it, I was like, okay, I can farm money, I could sit here for 30 hours getting myself a weapon, or I could just cheat infinite money.
See, I just farmed for those credit chips that the soldiers always had, and then I would sell them and then buy the best materials that I could. So
okay, so I finished another model. This is Dollfuss, the villainous Cid of Final Fantasy XII. I didn't put a lot of detail in his code because he's a sort of one-scene character for this parody, but there you go. I think he's turned out quite well. You can tell he's related to Balthier, clearly. Now we're moving on to Redis.
Nice.
Neat.
As long as he doesn't take my place as the leading man, we're fine.
Oh, don't worry, he won't.
Okay, Balthier.
Plot twist. He does.
God,
Nope, Vaughn is the main character.
And now I had to think of the
according to
Final 14 again.
according to Square Enix, at least.
Yeah.
I never really understood that part.
He's
welcome to the town of Final Fantasy. I'm your host, or... Oh, sorry, I got cut off.
Is anyone else's chat
I'm just
playing
ready
up?
for. Personally, I'm just ready for the next 14, or the next 14.
A lot of love in the
patch.
chat for Mott's Blank.
Lol.
Death to all Moogles.
Quick question about your 14 classes then. How far are they leveled?
So I literally just finished leveling my White Mage to 80. My Gunbreaker's been 80 for a while now. My next 2 classes are gonna be my Monk and my Red Mage, with my Red Mage gonna be going first. Just so I can get the role quests over and done with, and then I can do that little final plot story thing.
Oh, so all of them were 70 before Shadowbringers today.
So I did have 3 classes that I didn't have at 70 yet. Machinist, Bard, and Ninja. With Ninja being my lowest one, Bard being like somewhere in the 60s, and then I had Machinist like really close to 70 before Shadowbringers came out. And so I've just put them on the back burner at this point up until I get everything else back up to 80.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. My main focus, though, is trying to get at least 1 tank, 1 healer, and 1 DPS up to 80, and then finishing off those extreme fights from Shadowbringer, or I mean from Stormblood, just so I can keep my mentor status. Which, hey, anybody in the chat is on Genova, let me know, because I really need to finish these extremes soon.
I'm sadly not in your data center, so I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would.
That seems to be the case all the time. Like, I was pleasantly surprised when I found out that Doobie was on Genova. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Tsukiyomi, and I will get you some other.
Oh,
yeah. Tsukiyomi is so much fun. Honestly, Savage is so much fun.
Oh, honestly, the only extreme trial I did when relevant was Suzaku, and that one is great.
It's still in my heart.
It was a bit funny viewing Stormblood because I could just press shortcast and ignore the mechanic completely all the time because it was at 30 seconds and not 120. It was great. And yeah, my classes are literally all over the place because I didn't play for a few months before Shadowbringers came out because I think I burnt myself out a little too much with rushing to it, like catching up with everything, which takes a while on its own because of all the story quests. And my classes are all over the place, and I try to use roulettes and whatever else I can to get them all slowly to 70 while doing story quests to get stuff done on my Black Mage.
So Rab, after you get your Dark Knight, your Warrior, and your Ninja all up to 80, what do you wanna level next?
Probably maybe give a healing class a try.
That's probably a good idea. I'll tank for you so that way you can have an easier time of it at least.
Yeah, I've heard it's quite stressful though, like healing.
So I find it easier with the PS4 personally, just because it's a pretty streamlined controlling. But I get where people came from. I was like the noobiest of people that you'll ever meet, probably. So my main thing was I did Paladin. Paladin was my first ever class on 14 that I actually like really got through the whole game with. And tanking was, just my thing because I was a really good tank because, it's really streamlined. All you have to really do is just make sure that your damage doesn't really get too bad or anything like that. But healing is a whole different monster, especially since people really enjoy just not paying attention to mechanics. So it's very understandable that people have this like really intense hatred for healing in the game. Even if it makes me feel like God by being able to say, "Hey, guess what? No, you're not dying today."
Yeah.
So
you just pop.
But for me, I actually do really enjoy healing. It's very, I don't know. It helps me when I'm starting to like. I have ADHD, so I typically will hyper focus on things, and healing definitely helps me in that regard with paying attention to the party.
I think it's the funnest rule in the game.
Mm-hmm. Although they really, really nerfed the healers in Shadowbringers, so we'll start you off with White Mage Rad rather than any of the other ones, because all of the other ones have got just nerfed so hard.
I think he could do astrology, and you'll probably like that. All the Yu-Gi-Oh memes? Oh man, he'd be all over that.
Oh, the Yu-Gi-Oh memes.
Yeah, but we're thinking about like making sure that he actually enjoys himself.
Astro's the most fun healer class that I had. Because you're like, oh, guess what? I can heal you, and guess what? Buffs.
We're talking about post Shadowbringers, though. So that's the issue: is post Shadowbringers.
Josh, I have a question for you since you played 11. Did it have as defined tank, healer, attacker roles in 11, or was it a little bit more free for?
From what I remember, I think it was more free-for-all. Like, you didn't have really a set class. You could pick a class, and then you could kind of start cross-classing. It was a little weird. If that makes any sense.
I kind of got that.
I remember reading at the time you could have like white and black mage abilities on the same character, and I was like, what? That seems...
That sounds like that sounds like a wet mage, just way more busted.
Well, it was more, I think, based on like Dungeons and Dragons. In other words, you could start leveling in one class, and then you could start leveling in another, but you'd have to stop leveling in your previous class.
Kind of like tactics.
Tactics sounds more
like a good comparison.
Like that, like a better comparison, yeah.
I mean, confession time. I've never actually played Tactics. Which is a large part of why I didn't really like the Evilise raids in 14.
I tried it, didn't like it.
Funny thing is, I did not play the original Tactics. The only Tactics I actually played was A2 on the DS.
That's a shame, because if you had the original Tactics in the Game Boy slot and had A2 in the DS slot, you could get a whole bunch of goodies that you couldn't get otherwise.
You know that is not the original Tactics you were just talking about, right?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because I think you made like half the chat mad by saying original Tactics in Game Boy slot, when that's Tactics Advance you're talking about.
Non-canon.
It's easy to confuse them. Square's got some great ideas when it comes to naming conventions.
Oh yeah.
It's so easy to differentiate them.
Yeah.
From the company that brought you 10-2.
Oh god, don't get me started with that game.
Hey, don't be hating on 10-2.
You're not a fan of undressing and dressing women?
That is not my problem with that game, honestly enough. My problem with
that's the whole point of the game, you know.
Yeah, my problem with the game was more the fact that you actively had to use, like, it isn't that you get, say, sharp points for killed enemies. No. You had to actively use skills of a sharp to get those points, and there are some classes that just don't work well with that. Also, basic attacks don't count for some reason.
You just had to have style, which you didn't have any of.
Right.
I think that probably goes for most of the gaming community.
I haven't written Final Fantasy X in a nutshell yet, Josh, but I might have to steal that joke of yours just then.
Yeah. What, you don't like undressing women? What are you, gay?
Yes.
There's a lot of potential there for that kind of joke.
Yeah, let's try to refrain from making gay jokes.
Yeah.
Alright, but...
Lesson learned from that front.
One of the biggest problems that I have with this community is everyone's very cutthroat when it comes to what's their favorite and what's the worst. So, sound off, everybody. What is your favorite? And what is the worst that you absolutely detest?
7 is the worst. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
Bold statement.
It's awful. And the way that the community has just kind of just made it all about that is just, that's part of what makes it the worst for me, is that people have put it on such a high pedestal, saying that it's like the greatest game ever made, and all I see is just really, really bad graphics, which, to be fair, was, you know, it was the pinnacle of what it was, but it has not aged well at all.
No.
I think it's more of a nostalgia factor.
Definitely.
That and also people being too stubborn to be able to change their minds as well.
I have to agree on the graphics part. I have actually played it on at a friend's place recently, and you need to get used to those graphics because, boy, they don't know the age well. But on my opinion, excluding 14, because that's a whole different category entirely and would not fair to be judged with the rest, just because it's an MMO, I would have to say Satan is my favorite. A, because it had a good story. B, because it was one of like 3 Final Fantasy games I actually 4 Final Fantasy games I played and finished. No, wait, I did most of the 13s, but the 13s were bad. And looking at worst, I have to think about that. But I would go with 2 because of its really, really stupid system.
So I would say best 4, worst 3.
Oh god, 3. Oh, don't remind me. 3 is one of those I finished, but oh god.
I finished it and I didn't feel satisfied.
Oh god, 3. I definitely cheated in 3 with leveling because, as Web mentioned, who came up with the idea to have 2 dungeons in a row without saving?
Square Enix.
In endgame.
I know, Squaresoft at the time.
That is the most stupid thing, and I recently stumbled over FF3 speedrun on the DS version, and I looked at the time, and then I looked why it was so long, and the last dungeon segment literally screwed that one over hard.
Yeah. Pretty poor design choice.
I know in races... people agree to have save states on when the dungeon switches, or just on fixed points because of that.
I don't have much of a reference. I don't have much of a reference point. I actually haven't played any of the Final Fantasies beyond 11. I played 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So I tried to do it. So the only game in the series that I haven't actually like played at all is 11, only because when I finally was able to buy a subscription, I then found out that my computer is not actually capable of running it, which really sucks because I really wanted to try it out. Because I was finally at a point in my life where I could actually purchase a subscription. So.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I had that kind of with 14, where I waited a really long time with starting it, just because I was still a school kid with no actual money, so buying a sub game would just not work well when you have like $50 a month to play with.
Right.
But then once I got my shop, that was one of the first things I did, get 14.
Yep, same. Well, I waited a little while later before I got 14 because I just didn't have the time. I started working at Amazon and that sucked the life out of me for 4 years. So near the end, I was just like, fuck this, and I just bought 14.
A friend of mine was a manager at that place, said it sucked the soul out of her.
It sucks the soul out of everyone. It's pretty much like you're signing a contract to sell your soul.
Let's see.
Pretty beefy contract.
For my soul, definitely a beefy contract.
Hey, it keeps the machine running.
Ugh, that machine is so just... Don't even get me started on Amazon. It's just a horrible company. In general. It's a smart company. It's a genius company. But it's horrible when it comes to, like, humane conditions.
No different from Walmart. And yet we still shop at both.
I don't shop at Walmart anymore.
I don't.
I don't go to Walmart anymore at all, really. I haven't been to a Walmart in... Okay, so I've been to a Walmart in like the last month only because my boyfriend actually finally bought a PS4 and he started playing 14. That was kind of the only thing that I actually went to a Walmart for last. Before that, I hadn't been in like 6 months. So, but past that, like, you know. But Amazon, I just try not to shop on there anymore. Typically, I try to use Facebook Marketplace, if anything.
You should be shopping from your local markets and local stores.
Why do
like
you think
mom
I
and pop
chose
startups?
Facebook Marketplace? Technically, that is local.
I'm in California.
Storefronts,
I'm in California. Everything's already expensive as it is.
Yeah.
Oof. Big oof.
Big oof.
I'm a former Kentucky boy,
That
now a
is an
Tennessee
ugly
boy,
boy.
so...
Oh yeah, so
Now you
this
guys in the
is
chat, I'm watching the stream.
this is the chief of the Gareth people, which is a subspecies of Evilise. So this may be the most complex model I've made yet. We'll soon see.
I don't know. I think 13 might give you a run for your money.
Oh yeah, I'm dreading that. And 14 to an
As you,
extent.
as you should be.
How old were you when you first played your first Final Fantasy game?
Ooh. This one's fun.
That came from Saddam in the chat.
7 years old.
And to really date myself, that was on NES.
I was either 11 or I was either 11 or 12. I can't remember exactly which one. And my first one was Final Fantasy X because my first Square Enix game was Kingdom Hearts.
Interesting foray into the series for you there.
That was honestly, I probably picked the best way I could have entered the series.
If we are talking...
honestly, when it comes to a lot of top 10 lists for entering the Final Fantasy series, 10 is usually number 1 on a lot of those lists.
Yeah. But you got to remember, too, when it comes to Final Fantasy, usually, for majority of people, their first one is more likely than not their favorite.
10 is definitely not my favorite. I still will never.
That's why I said it's like it's majority prevalent, that rule.
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
not saying
wrong.
it's for everyone, but
You're
it's
not
just
wrong.
more often than not you hear 7, 4, 10.
Ugh.
I don't know. Some people that say 12, and then the outliers that say 13.
Freaks.
I
I'm
think the
not
first
gonna
one
lie,
I played
actually
was
really
probably on
did
Super
enjoy
NES.
13.
I think I was 12 to 14 when I played my first one, and I'm unsure if I played 3 first or Tactics A2 first. Or maybe it was Chocobo Tales, one of the 3. I know I played on the DS. I just don't know which one I played first.
That's definitely an interesting way to get into the series.
Well, here's a follow-up question for you. So, you know, we talk about Final Fantasy, but obviously they weren't the first in the video game series for like RPGs. So, I mean, what was the first you played? For me, it was Dragon Quest series.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I played Dragon Quest 1 on the old NES.
I can't remember what
Oh,
it's
man.
called, but it's a
I
game where
think I was like 5 years old.
That was a rough game, though, back then, wasn't it? But back then, it was pretty great.
I think if we talk normal RPGs, I think the first I played was Grandia with my brother together.
Grandia, that was a PlayStation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got an interesting curveball in that answer. At the time, it was marketed as a role-playing game, but by today, we would not call it one. It was original Legend of Zelda.
Yep. Played that when I was 5 as well.
I think if you...
I think a year or two later,
Dating
I picked
myself.
up the original Final Fantasy.
Hey, you can't be any older than me.
Might. I'll be 36 in 2 weeks.
All right, get in your coffin, old man.
God, you all are so old.
Who's the youngest here?
I'm 24 if that helps.
You've got to be the youngest, surely.
I turned 30 not that long ago, a couple of days ago.
Oh,
week
God.
ago, sorry.
When speaking
happy
of
birthday,
age,
then.
I got reminded of
Oh,
something.
thanks, bud.
I got reminded of something that happened earlier today, where me and a few other people started new characters in a role-playing game, and I happened like, have you ever heard of Interstitial or Hearts Intertwined? Yes, that's the game we are playing, and our GM was like, yo, to handle some backstory stuff of our actual campaign, everybody pick a character, a new one for that. Only restriction, they have to be before the year 2000. And without even trying to, because I forgot the age of my character, and it came up in the session, and I looked up and I happened to pick like the youngest one without even trying to, because the character I play is 8. And I didn't try to.
I'm fine.
It just happened.
But, probably my favorite, I'm going to be very contrary to a lot of your answers, was 8. Only because it was a miserable mess, but I loved it. I loved every second of that mess.
Oh, I loved
8
8
was a
too.
good
It was
game.
great.
I loved the card system. I loved breaking the game within the first hour, doing 9,000 damage.
The orphanage story.
The orphanage story was kind of weird, but it was alright. I love all the crazy theories that you get out of this game.
Oh yeah, we are all best friends who have known each other the entirety of our lives.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally
that was-
forgot.
Even our teacher was there.
Yeah. Like,
Ugh.
there's so many weird decisions, but it kind of meshes together really nicely, and there's a lot of great theories out of it. Like, a lot of people, it kind of went by them. Like, I know, it's a bit spoilery, but Renoa is the sorceress, the big bad final boss. And it's kind of confirmed in a very clever way at the end of the game, using Griever.
So who's this Skexy looking person you're drawing here?
He is. His name is. What is it? Abul Kar. He is the leader of the Gareth people, and he has like a really intricate mask design. And I am not going to attempt to draw that from memory, so I'm just simplifying it.
Well, that's impressive nonetheless.
What's been your favorite and least favorite model to make for this franchise?
Probably this one. It's my least favorite. My favorite model was probably Red 13. Because he actually.
Well,
came
if
out
you're
with
gonna suffer, if you're gonna suffer, we might as well too, right?
Yeah. I apologise to the viewers that this particular model isn't that interesting to watch me trace.
Not all of them are going to be interesting.
It's 12 after all, yeah.
And that's all that matters. And that's all that you have to remember, really.
Shots fired to 12 fanboys. How will they ever recover?
Come at me.
I mean, honestly, if they're not used to it by now, they're never going to be.
Yeah.
12 fanboys are fine. They just got the newest remap.
That's true. That's true.
Yep, they get to pay full price for it on the Switch.
Just like I did.
Actually, Rab, as funny as that sounds, the FF7 nutshell helped me and my friend when we were playing, because I was like, yeah, let's just throw an elixir and be done with this mess.
So, Rabs, are you you plan on doing a Zelda in a nutshell?
I would like to.
Oh God.
And I would like to do it.
Yeah.
I would like to do it in a weird way. I'd like to do Majora's Mask first, because that's my favourite in the series.
I mean, you can. You don't have to do them in order, because especially considering they literally just changed up the order again.
No, they didn't.
It's very.
Let's
It's a
not.
very small difference. It's a
There's no
very small
timeline.
difference. They switched two of the games order. They switched two of the games, and that's it. Thank God.
Oh
Because
man,
honestly, I
that's
don't
after
think
they released that collector's book.
It's the third book in that series. Yeah, they put the last one, and then they decided to put in a little side note that says you can interpret the timeline in any way that you want, and this is really only just a guideline. I was just like,
that is the
yeah.
worst thing they could ever do.
I know it sucks, but actually, Game Theory just did a video that actually makes a lot of it make a lot of sense about how Breath of the Wild is the connection of all the three timelines meshed together through Hyrule Warriors.
Interesting.
Apparently, Hyrule Warriors brought all three timelines together, and then
So they're considering that canon then.
No. This was a theory. This was a theory that the game theorists made. You know, Matt.
Oh, right.
That's just a game theory.
I honestly don't
I
watch
wouldn't
that
knock
stand.
it. I wouldn't knock it. Honestly, I enjoy game theory. I enjoy the theorists very much.
I do get there's a market for it, but you got to realize too, it can be pretty silly. Like some of these theories these guys come up with.
Well, yeah. I mean, he is the one who literally made a video about how Sans is Ness.
God.
So obviously he can make jokes. He can make jokes, obviously.
Obviously.
He can very much, have fun with theories. He doesn't actually, like, a lot of his theories are not, like, they're jokes. A few of them are. But you can tell when he really enjoys the theory, like, when it comes to, like, Five Nights at Freddy's, or, but...
Well, yeah. Gotta get those mad clicks, man.
I think he just really likes indie games.
Indie games are pretty great.
He really enjoys Dark Souls, but I think there was a video that he did that nobody liked, and so he just decided to just not do those kinds of theories anymore. But he really enjoys Dark Souls just because there's a story there that isn't in your face. So I think those are the games that he really enjoys.
Jesus Adorno? Yeah, 11's actually really good. I had enjoyed playing Dragon Quest 11. I just finished it like a couple of days ago, actually.
That's the newest
I wouldn't
one,
consider
right?
it like DQ8 tier, but it was still really fun.
I have never played Dragon Quest.
I think I tried playing one Dragon Quest on the DS, but didn't really like it, / got stuck as a little kid, so I stopped.
Yeah.
What would be a good entry? Because I did buy the first one.
8 on the PS2 or 8 on the 3DS?
1 NES.
Well, 1 on the NES is more like a race to beat the final boss. Because that's literally what the whole game boils down to.
It's a gauntlet because you got to level. You got to grind.
Yeah, I noticed that after I almost died a couple times.
But for anyone who's
actually,
never...
7 was a lot.
7 was side quest galore, but it was still a good game. But no, like for anyone who hasn't played a Dragon Quest, 8 is a perfect starting point because there is literally 0 side questing. It's all main story.
Good.
And I know for a fact people, speedrunners can literally break 1 to their will.
But
also 8 had some really great voice.
It did. 8 is a great game all around, man.
Which one was it that didn't? I think it was 9 did not come to America, or
9 was on the original DS. That was Sentinels of the Starry Skies.
Oh, that's the one I played and then got stuck in and stopped.
Yeah. So a lot of people...
okay, so it was 10 that didn't come to the States because it was...
10 was a Wii U exclusive and a Wii exclusive. It was an MMO in Japan only. And they didn't bring it over to the West because they didn't want it to compete with FF14.
A Wii U MMO?
Oh, God.
Well, that's
it actually looked really...
I never thought I would be hearing.
It was stupid popular over there, man. Like, it was competing with all the other MMOs over there.
So weird.
But you have to understand that they don't necessarily get PC games. They only...
Yeah, because they see the computers as basically a workstation and nothing else.
Right, but they're also very expensive.
Japanese gaming culture is just unique in general. It's always so weird.
It is, and they still have arcades that are really popular there. I
that's where
about
that's
5.
Yeah, that's where they did that's where they put Dissidia after Duodecim.
Oh yeah,
and
that's where
they
they
decided
put
to bring
NT
out. And then they brought out NT when they realized that American audiences really missed Dissidia. Like me, only they really messed it up.
Yeah, Dissidia was great, I must say. Not a big fan of NT though.
Duodecim was literally the best one that they did. Honestly, in my opinion.
I played a lot out of it, and boy, I just took my Onion Knight and destroyed everything.
Mine was Squall.
Yeah, no, I did pretty good with Cloud. I liked it how he had that one move where you could go in for a Brave attack and then just combo into a finisher that actually did health damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those at that point.
And that kind of broke the game a little bit.
Oh boy, Onion Knight had that in
people
spades.
know how to people know exactly how to dodge or be able to get out of those situations. It just depends.
Yeah.
There's no one truly all overpowered character. You're either really good or you're,
bad.
Doing it for fun. Honestly, for me, if they hadn't made NT, my only thing would have been, if they had made a sequel, my suggestion would have been not to do what they did with NT, but instead just do a 2-on-2. Like,
You know-
kind of like the way the Duodecim did it with the assists, but only you actually had live other people playing with you. So that way it was a 2-on-2 match. That
One other thing.
would have been fun.
There's one other thing I have to add to that. Do not have team lives. God damn it, why is that mechanic a thing?
Yeah, that's true. I do not like that, because if you have a really, really bad character or a really, really bad teammate that's just does not care, is not trying, is just goofing around, you won't ever win, which really sucks, especially if you're like actually like actively trying to get like stuff from them.
You die by the faults of your teammates even harder than in League. And I heard horror stories about the story mode because of this.
Story mode, terrible.
Yeah, I heard
the story mode
stories.
was great. The story mode was great.
No, I'm not.
really enjoyed the story.
I'm not knocking the quality. I just heard stories where people just got really just murdered in story fights because the AI kept getting killed. So it was like, you played well enough, but your AI partners don't, and therefore you die. Which is really stupid. Though, to be fair, that's for me a problem in any game when you can die because your AI does bad things. I just hate it in general. If I die, it should be by my hand and nobody else's.
True that.
So what else?
So I see Jesus is asking about whether we want Star Wars or Marvel and Kingdom Hearts.
Can we have neither? Because they're both basically the same thing at this point.
Honestly, if I had to go with worlds, as character cameos, anything is valid. But if I go by world, Star Wars just does not work for a Kingdom Hearts world. Because we then get the problem that Frozen had, only in bigger.
If they did do DLC
I don't know, I
for
think
that game and added a Twilight Town, they could throw in any number of cameos.
Twilight Town is in 3.
Yeah, I mean, they could add Darth Vader would be
Not
a good
Twilight
cameo
Town, sorry,
appearance.
what's the...
I would rather have Yoda or maybe Ferris.
Yeah, as cameos, anyone would be fine. And I would have no problem with it.
But honestly, with Disney buying Lucasfilm and changing up the entire Star Wars storyline, that also leaves out so many good characters that they created in the expansive Legend storyline, which would have been great. Like Luke's wife, just a badass. Awesome. There was Ferris Olin, Siri Tachi, just a lot of good characters that just don't exist anymore.
Right. I mean, and honestly, it wouldn't work anyway because they have to deal with licenses. And while Disney does own, both franchises, there are also licenses specifically for video game companies. So it's very hard and tricky to make those.
Yeah. It's a lot of give me millions here, give millions there, and maybe you can get like one character or a 10-second cameo.
And then timing too, because they don't want to release all the same characters.
Kingdom Hearts reference in the new Square Enix Avengers game coming out.
Oh, do they?
Wait,
is that going to be another mobile game or something, or something?
No, the new one for next year, the big one they just announced at E3. That is Square Enix Marvel Avengers game. So.
How was that E3 this year? I didn't see it.
That was,
the Avengers
in my
game
opinion,
really good.
I honestly didn't really see any gameplay at the conference there.
They didn't want to. They only showed
came
little
out
bits.
after.
I don't know. The only one, the big game that I was waiting for at E3, what I happened to see when I was there was Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah, boy.
So what I'm thinking is that Square Enix finally learned from their Kingdom Hearts 3 issues, because, like, remember, with Kingdom Hearts 3, they decided to, like, release pretty much the entire story all through the trailers. Like, to the point where Kingdom Hearts 3 had, like, it still had plenty of story left to tell, but at that point, like, you've already seen, like, the big gut punching.
There is
Like,
a
everyone dying
cutscene
around
from
Sakura.
the end game in a trailer. What?
Yeah, that final battle trailer, while I somewhat enjoyed it because it looked epic, it made me feel like my time watching the trailers and I wasted my money.
You're getting a little robot-y there, Flutterdark.
That's
Or
not
no,
me.
That's not you, that's Happy Striker. Sorry, bud. You're getting a little robot-y.
I think he's driving.
But I get what you're saying, which is why I try to avoid game trailers in general, because a lot of games have the problem where they show too much. The first time I actually experienced this was with Pokemon Sun and Moon, because you do not reveal all your new pokes before the game comes out. It makes it boring when you know, oh, it's this thing, rather than what the fuck is that thing.
Yeah, what I loved about Kingdom Hearts 2 is it came out in a time when stuff wasn't just revealed all before the game came out. So when I found a new world, it was like, oh wow, cool! I didn't know about this. Like,
literally, I got all my information for Kingdom Hearts 2 from the web.
For Kingdom,
like, do you remember when video games you actually had to go to like the actual website?
yeah.
Remember those days?
oh yeah, that's okay.
Oh, I remember when Nintendo Power was your source of information, and they would give you maps in the form of like little posters.
Did you ever have to call the Nintendo Power tip line for $3.95 a minute?
I never did that because I was a little kid when Nintendo came out. I was like 4 or 5, but God no, again aging myself. No, but I did call the High Sierra line for all those King's Quest games and got in a ton of trouble.
Ooh.
Oh God, I did that too.
Wow, that was a lot less painful than I thought.
Space Quest, Heroes Quest, those are good times.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, we should hang out. We're practically the same.
Okay, so that's the last of my models on the agenda today.
Congratulations.
Cool.
Hey, you made it.
So I will get rid of that now.
He does look like a punk.
So for the people who weren't here from the beginning, I'll just run through who I've made today. We made Alcid, the weird foreign guy from Rosario Empire. Dollfuss, the father of Balthier and villainous Cid, first in the series. Sky Pirate Redis, some guy who just joins for like 5 minutes and then dies. And the Chief of the Gareth. Yeah, totally.
You would think he escaped the FF2 universe and ended up in 12.
That is very true. Okay, so I'm a bit conscious of time, so I will take maybe one doodle request. I'll throw it out to my guests today. So this is just you know, not anything to do with the nutshells, models, or anything. This is just stuff I can doodle for fun.
Ooh, decisions.
Hmm.
Come on, chat. What's it? Oh man, this is brutal. How about some Disney characters? What do you got?
Disney.
How about the FF characters that got retconned from Kingdom Hearts 3?
You could always try doing a Kingdom Heart. You could always try doing Final Fantasy characters in their Kingdom Hearts appearance.
You can also do Iago, one of the base characters in.
Oh,
Clincent.
Or he could have his FF14 character be murdered by numbers because he recently played Lighthouse and a lot of people died by the math mechanic there.
Yeah, poor V.
Ooh, there's a fun one. How about Invader Zim?
Oh yes, that is a good one.
Oh god, what the...
This is kind of from memory, so you might not look entirely accurate.
Doesn't have to. We aren't the accuracy police.
Stop! This is the accuracy police. Pay your fine, or draw better.
Brutal. So on my last stream, someone asked me to draw a Cloud dressed as the Cloud of Darkness from Final Fantasy III. That was an interesting one to draw.
Cloud of Darkness, Cloud. I mean, it kind of fits.
Well, next they ask you to do the Cloud of Darkness, just do Cloud from Advent Children.
Wait, didn't he do that in the nutshell video, or am I mixing up designs?
Yes and no.
That would have been a clever joke in the 3 nutshell.
Oh god. I remember Advent Children, that was something.
So how's the 12 video coming along?
I've gotten about just 7 minutes long so far. I would say maybe 3/4 of the way through the script.
Nice.
It's mainly been slowed up by the fact that, well, these models for a start, and the backgrounds are quite hard to come by for this game, even though it's a 3D game, which should mean, you know, backgrounds galore.
Honestly, I get it. Sometimes you would not believe some things that are hard to come by. Like, I had to search out a few pictures recently, and I found an object that appears for like in one episode of a show. I found a picture of that easier than finding an object that appears like half of a season.
I can't remember what girl looks like, but that's supposed to be Girl.
No, it's Wicked Good Girl.
There you go. Zim declaring the one truth.
Oh god, that's so good.
Zim, you're fired. Signed, the tall.
The tallest are my favorite characters.
I love Andrew McDonald's delivery for the tallest. He's so.
It's nothing like casting one of the guys from Kids in the.
The doodles from the last stream will be put on Twitter at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. Oh, actually, I've just run out of time. Actually, sorry, it's going to be a bit rushed now. Okay, thank you all for turning up. I managed to get all the models I wanted to done today. Unfortunately, I didn't have much time to do doodle requests, as it is getting quite late here in Britain land. I'd like to thank my guests for turning up today. Thank you, Josh. I think the chat's cut out. Okay, well, thanks to my guests. I don't know if they can hear me at the moment, but
oh, we hear you.
Oh, you're right. Good. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you to my guests, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Cheers. You can play some builders too sometime.